Good morning, all. It's Monday morning, as always, when I'm recording this. It's post Thanksgiving or post the holiday break. I hope that all of you were able to spend some time, take some time off, enjoy these last few days together. you know, it's always hard to kind of get back to work, but that's kind of where we're at. We're in week 14 of the course. We've got um, a couple weeks left to go here. I'll keep this maybe relatively short. We're going to start for last week. You should have for week 13 or for the think over the Thanksgiving break. You should have written your response papers to Louise Erdrich's Love Medicine. If you, I realize it's the break, so obviously, as always, if you need some extra time to get the work completed, you certainly have it with no penalty assessed for any of the late work. Just get your work in as soon as possible. That will be the last response paper for the course. There will be a continuing discussion and journal post as we read. I have a copy of the book here from Sand Creek, Simon Ortiz's work. I guess I should. I guess it's opposite there on the screen. It's an interesting collection. We can talk about it. I tend to read from Sand Creek as one long poem, or as one long sort of never-ending story. It's about yet another massacre. We've had a lot of events here globally. This idea of mass killing is something that continues to be a part of our world, and I think when we read Sand Creek and we look at this mass, which is written in response to the 1864 Sand Creek Massacre by Colonel Shivington and his buddies from out of Denver, an illegal posse, an act of terrorism, if we really want to go that way. And I think sometimes it is. Certainly from the southern the Southern Arapaho Bandits, certainly from their perspective, it was certainly an act of terror. And we're going to be reading about that event, but we're going to be reading about it from a present perspective. We're going to be reading about it from the point of view of we'll talk about it, but from a point of view of a bunch of guys, a bunch of veterans sitting around inside a veterans hospital, and characters, and Ortiz will really take this idea apart. I find Simon Ortiz's work to be some of the most balanced and some of the most beautiful and some of the most meaningful work to ever be produced by an American Indian author. Simon Ortiz is from Acoma Pueblo. There'll be a short video if you want to get a really short, where someone conducts an interview with him. But also there is an article to read. I would strongly suggest that you read. I'm going to look here now, just so it's Gibbs, sort of in the beautiful swirl. It is Jules Gibbs writes a pretty well laid out, and it provides some background information. There is some secondary readings if you want to, but you'll be required to sort of read the Jules Gibbs piece in the beautiful swirl of America. Simon Ortiz is from Sand Creek some 30 years later. I'm going to look here just to make sure. I know there are some readings, some other readings for this week that I lay a few things out. Let me see, that are just sort of secondary if you have time and wish to read. It's just under week 14. Give me just a second here. I should have had this already loaded up, but I don't. I apologize. Also in week 15, there's also other couple of pieces that it'll show up next week. I'll have you some suggested readings beginning next week, so those aren't responsible for this week. For this week, you'll just need to read from Sand Creek, and you'll need to read Gibbs. It's about 100 pages or so, 80 some odd pages or so. Take your time reading the book. It's structured unique. It's written beautifully, and then what we're going to be doing is you will have some discussion and journal exercises to write about on From Sand Creek, but then we'll also be moving into our final. You will be watching a film coming in, a couple of films coming into the final week. You'll need to watch a film for next week, Smoke Signals, And I've also put up another of Alexi's films that people may want to take a look at, Business of Fancy Dancing, which you will be required to watch Smoke Signals. I will provide, you can access the film several ways, and I'll let you know. You can get it through Netflix. There's copies on reserve in the Truax library. I realize that's not convenient for everyone. And so I do have a copy, I do have a file copy that you can access online through the course Blackboard, but it has, per ADA, per the American with Disabilities Act, it does has captions. So if you want to watch the film that you can't turn off, so if you want to watch the film with captions, you can do so there. But we'll talk about that more next week. For this week, I really want you to sort of think about From Sand Creek, and think about all of our responsibility to the history of this part of the world, all of our responsibilities to the history that we're making now, all of our responsibilities in some ways to, if nothing else, I'll put it this way, if nothing else, I think to remember, right? I think we all at least have a responsibility to remember the history of this place and to be informed of it. So in some ways, this is a tough read. It is a read that I hope that everything we've read so far in the course and we've talked about up to this point, I hope it will prepare you to read this in some way, and to read it with a sense of knowing, and a sense of becoming something else in the process of reading it, and the sense of coming to an understanding maybe in the process of reading it. I think I've gone on too long this morning. I guess we're coming up on about the 7-minute mark with the video, so I'll cut it short now. But any questions, as always, get in touch with me. If you're still in the course, then you're in the course and you're going to get a grade. So you need to definitely, if you've got a lot of work hanging out there, you need to get it taken care of. I'll send some announcements out as we come into the final weeks of the absolute positively last days that I have to have work turned in. But for now, if you're checking in and getting this video, that probably means that you're on pace with the course. Just keep doing the good work. Any questions, as always, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer those for you. Watch Dylan. Let's try to stay dry as it's raining this morning. All right.